I don't know if you could hear that, but I wanted to see if the microphone would pick it up. Pretty birds. And I also wanted to show off the monkey pod behind me in the shot. The monkey pod tree. It's February and it sheds its leaves here in Hawaii. Tiny things, but a lot of them. And then it relieves late March. Anyway, hi guys, Warren here. Today I want to talk about a topic that is hard for me, and that is togetherness. And I want to talk about it in the context of our continued topics on becoming happier. Because according to Dr. Arthur Brooks, it is one of the pillars of being happier, and that's basically fellowship, people in your lives, friends. And I say it's tough for me because I don't do that well. I'm not a fan of being around people, and you would say, for those who have been on the channel before and know or in the description of the channel, I'm retired Army, and you would scratch your head and say, and how did you do that for 20 years? And then ROTC for 4 years as an instructor. And I would say, I don't know, but I'm not a fan of being around people, but I want to be. I want to be better at being in the room and being comfortable in the room. But yes, togetherness. It is tough for me, but it is something we need. And what has me really thinking about it is the Japanese Zen masters, or Japanese Zen Buddhist. They use what they call koans, or riddles, to teach their faith. And one of them that I came in contact with in Dr. Brooks's book, by the way, Live the Life You Want, was, what is the sound of one hand clapping? And even though you can imagine the sound of a clap and even envision the sound of a clap with, my pup is wanting some love, but you can envision the act of clapping and imagine the sound. There is no sound. It's an illusion. And the point is that we are empty vessels until we come in communion with someone or others or something. And now we have a sound. We have communion, contact. And I thought, metaphorically, that's pretty much us, right? We know all these things that we do know, be it formal education, experience, formal education, and lived experiences. But without communion, what's the sense, right? And it makes sense to me because we are communal animals by nature. I mean, if you weren't, you would be wandering the cold tundra by yourself, and that's no fun. But we're communal animals by nature, but we've gotten, and I don't include myself in this because I'm also not a fan of social media. So it's not that it's social media's fault where I'm concerned. It's what I'm going to talk about, though, it is in some respects. It's removed us from, and I think it's ironic because we think with technology that we're actually getting closer, and we should. But with the divisiveness and the vitriol and issues, we have separated ourselves so much. And with that, I think we are suffering with togetherness as a society. Me, I just think I need to find a balance. And I'll talk about that later in terms of those like me who want to do better at being in the room and being comfortable in the room. But we're communal animals by nature. But today we are so much more separated when we should be so much closer based on our advancements. And there are so many reasons for that. There are so many reasons for that. We're caught up in our own... I'll speak for me. Vulnerability. Starting this channel was an example of that for me because I struggled with the idea for so many reasons. But the biggest one is vulnerability, which usually is tied to fear. Fear of criticisms, fear of failure, fear of the who does he think he is, and what makes him think anyone wants to hear what he has to say. And then that ties back into not wanting to be in the room necessarily and be comfortable in the room. Doing this is tough, really tough. Might come across as if it's not, but it is. But being in the room is tough. It's tough for me. And doing this, the girl is so distracting me. And doing this wasn't easy. It still isn't. But for me, it's fear of all those things I said. And for others, it's probably similar. But it's also, and here's the part that's probably going to get me beat up. In some respects, it's not wanting to have to dumb down my conversations, my good mind loops, my stream of consciousness. If the situation warrants and a conversation comes up and everyone is dismissive of it because they don't want to talk about it or they're not interested in it, or they're the cynics and just throw out a cynical comment. And it's not all the time that I want to be on the good mind loops or a stream of consciousness, but sometimes in the room, and again, I told you it's tough for me, I feel like, and it's especially now with us not reading the full article, just reading the headlines. I see it more now where people are just dismissive of critical thinking because it's so much easier to just absorb what social media, peers, and wherever you get your influence, whatever platform, is telling us. And it stops us from being critical thinkers. And as such, I feel like, because I don't want to be bothered with that, and that sounds so pretentious hearing it come out of my mouth, but I really don't. I don't want to be bothered with trivialities. And it seems to me that that's what most conversations are about. And yes, I'm much older than you might think. But it's my age group too. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But I want to be better at being comfortable in the room. Because I want to continue to be happier. Not that I'm not happy now. I just want to be happier, and that's one of my obstacles, is being more comfortable in and around people. And then there's the military side of it, where I'm just not comfortable in crowds, people I don't know, situations I'm not comfortable with, doors, corners, all of that good jazz. So there is that. But I think it is more me. But I don't want to walk the cold tundra by myself, because the only way that usually happened back then was if you harmed the group or did something that was, and I'm sure probably more than once, that was outside the norms of the caves that we used to live in, and so got banned and had to walk the cold tundra. But I don't want to do that. I want community. I believe in community, but I don't want to be a part of community at the risk of my own sanity and my own mental health. And then you say, then Warren, it's easy. Choose those with whom you hang out with. And I do, the ones that are in my circle of 5. I love them. But what if I want to branch out? How do I go about that without driving myself nuts or going through this mind loop, this what I would like to think is a stream of consciousness. But it's a mind loop because I keep thinking about it, and I need to solve it. And I'd love your comments, obviously, on the topic. But I mean, and I'm not even sure this is a coherent episode, to be honest with you. Mentally, I feel like I've lost my train of thought so many times. But and the background noise is a little distracting. But no, I want to be better, and I would love your help. And I don't think it's medical. I really just think it's choice. I'm very particular about who gets friend status and who are just transactional friends and acquaintances. And currently, I don't necessarily need transactional friends. I'm not in the middle of any transactions or plan to be any time soon. But I'd love to be more accepting of my neighbors. Let's start there. I'll share something with you. My current neighbors and I have absolutely zero incompatibility, and they try. They try to have conversations past the cordial good morning and good evening, good afternoon, and I can't do it. It's like at the minute and it's not all of them, but the minute I see the ones that I start to create a mental block for, I do that. I create this mental block, and I want to stop doing that. I want to be able to just hear them out and see if it goes somewhere. But and there's a reason. There's a reason for this. they've demonstrated some patterns to me in the past that I'm not a fan of. Gossip, okay? I have a theory. If you talk about them with me, then you will talk about me with them. So I don't gossip. I don't do that. And it's been demonstrated. And so I've already created that mental block. And you'll probably come back and say, well, then that's fine. The good morning, good afternoon, good evening is fine then. But what about the rest that walks in the group that these particular ones walk in? Now the community's suffering, see, and now I'm going to be banned to walk the cold tundra. Mind loops. But I do want to be better. And I think that the Zen Buddhists are onto something with their riddle. I mean, really, what is the sound? If this didn't come back to you through a bunch of X's and O's, empty, right? I'm an empty vessel until we have this communion. And I don't just want this communion, I want my neighborly communion. But I just can't get past the mental block that I create when I see them, because I've already told myself that the conversation is going to go in a direction that I'm just not comfortable with, or frankly don't care. But how do I know that all the time? How do I know that's going to be the case all the time if I never give them an opportunity? Give me an opportunity to grow. I might be missing out on something, which is where I want to wrap up. I said I would come around to growth and how to get around to it. I think the getting around to it, now that I'm talking about it, and I've thrown it around too before the episode, is just to do it, as hard as that sounds and feels. Because trust me, just saying that, I cringed inside saying that just now. I will be honest with you. But I think that is what we have to do if we want to be a part of this community overall, the larger community that we call our environment, our world. We have to find a way to find balance. I was going to say we have to find a way to fit in, but that carries so much weight. Balance. We have to find a way to balance these things, right? And by the way, the 4 pillars that Dr. Brooks talks about is faith, family, friends, and meaningful work. And that faith can be anything bigger than yourself, not necessarily religion of any specificity, but just something bigger than yourself. But yeah, I believe he's onto something there. So I want to work on that last one, because I'm doing well on the others, but man. But I think just doing it, not to steal the big corporations line, but yeah, just do it. Just do it. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I encourage you to do. You know, all other things being considered. I mean, boundaries have to be set. You know, make sure you're safe both emotionally and physically. And then just do it. Because I don't know about you, I don't want to walk the cold tundra by myself, be banned, because I can't find a way to live in a community. All right, so hopefully you stayed with me through my entire mind loop, my stream of consciousness, I would rather call it, but I appreciate it. Your time's valuable, and if you spent it with me or not all the way, I appreciate you clicking. and spending some with me, all right? So until our next conversation, you be good out there. Take care of each other in community. And until then, we'll talk again soon. I'll see you. Oh, mama. That was a tough one. I don't know. We'll see, huh? We'll see, huh? Yeah. We'll see, huh?